Hello, my name is Dietmar Dörschlag, and I'm a certified Atlassian business consultant with Valiantis. We are the largest global solution partner focused on the Atlassian ecosystem. Thank you so very much for joining me today. This video today covers the importance of managing groups in Atlassian Cloud. In previous videos, in this playlist, we talked about extensively various administration roles in the Atlassian ecosystem. The focus of this video is particularly the importance of managing uh, groups in the Atlassian cloud properly, as there's a lot of complexity to them. It's really important to understand them, and they are a very, very foundational concept. So thank you for joining. Let's jump in. Now, as we mentioned in other videos before, you very rarely deal with one singular Atlassian product on its own. Very often, Atlassian products really come part and parcel, tightly integrated with other Atlassian tools. For example, Jira Service Management is very often integrated with Confluence. Confluence handles the knowledge management. Jira Service Management is also very often integrated with Jira. For example, in IT shops, Jira Service Management handles the operational sustainment side, the service management side, where Jira handles the software side. Jira, of course, can also be connected with Confluence for knowledge management to create shared knowledge. So it is really important that various administrators work together for the good of the end users. Now, as we had discussed in other videos in this series, and please do check out our YouTube channel in the Atlassian admin playlist for 8 other videos that we have cut so far on this topic. We emphasize that there are really various levels in the Atlassian admin hierarchy. We have the org admin, we have the product admins, and they can be Jira, Jira Service Management, and Confluence admins. And of course, we also have the project admins that relates to Jira and Jira Service Management. And we have space admins, which relates, of course, to Confluence. Those three layers hierarchically in the Atlassian administration work together really for the good of the users to make sure that the system is not only well configured for go lives, but is also really sustained and maintained well into the future. Now, the purpose of this video today is really focusing on a specific role that the org admin, the organizational admin in Atlassian Cloud plays. And we really want to focus on the, besides the topic that we covered in other videos, which was managing users, products, billing, security, access licensing. Today, we really want to focus on managing groups. Groups are such a foundational concept in the Atlassian ecosystem. They are quite complex. There's a lot to it, and we really want to deep dive into that topic. I want to point out that there is another video that was specifically focused on groups and product access. Please check out that video. It's in the same playlist. So we're just going to touch on that in this video, but in this video today, we're going to cover a lot of other topics related to managing groups in the Atlassian ecosystem properly. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have some fun and we're going to spin up our own organization. And I call it the Acme Valiantis organization. So I'm going to walk you in my role as an org admin that we're going to spin up a brand new organization. And under that Acme organization, we have different products. We will have 2 Jira products. They could, for example, represent different geographies. We're going to have 2 JSM, Jira Service Management products. Again, they can represent different geographies. And then we have different Confluence products. Again, they could, of course, represent different geographies. Now, what's important to emphasize is, before we step into the demonstration and talk you through from a group management perspective, is that we really have 2 different levels here. We have the organization, the org admin, and then we have the sites, because an organization can have multiple sites. an organization actually has to have multiple sites when you have the same product more than once on a particular organization. So it's really important before we move forward to understand that one organization can have and must have multiple sites when a particular product is present more than one time. So in this case, we will have one organization that we spin up and we're adding two Jiras. They will have their own site designation. It will therefore create different groups, and we're going to look at that carefully. And we'll do the same thing for JSM and for Confluence. Now, the management of groups, both at the org level and at the site level, is really the role of the org admin. But at the site level, where the products are managed, that's where we have the product admins. So organizationally, you could have a Jira admin for Acme USA, a different Jira admin for Acme EMEA, Europe and Asia, and you could have the same concept on other products such as JSM and Confluence. So without any further ado, let's step in and get going. Now, what I have here is I connected to Atlassian.com/try. I highly recommend you bookmark that link because that is a link where you can, free of charge, always spin up your own organization and add free products to it. You can actually do this for premium plans for a limited period of time. It is a great way to learn the product, and that's exactly what I'm going to demonstrate now. So I am, of course, on Atlassian.com/try with my Atlassian account, which is my email address, dietmar.dörschlag@valiantis.com. That's how I'm logged in, and I am now seeing different organizations that I have already created. The last one, for example, was a bootcamp instance that I'm teaching on, but I'm now creating a new site. Now, to use the correct linguistics here, I'm actually creating a new organization to be correct here. Sometimes Atlassian uses the terms site and organization interchangeably. So just to go back to that slide, it's really important that when an organization, which is the highest level, has multiple products installed, has the same products installed multiple times, is the better way to say this, those products must reside on a different site. A product cannot reside twice on the same site. So I'm clicking on Start a New Site, and what I'm really doing is I will create a brand new organization. So let's do that. And I'm going to call this Acme Valiantis Atlassian.net. And what you notice here is that there's a lot of flexibility. How you're going to call it. I'm just going to call it Acme Valiantis, all one word. I don't think it allows actually a dot, and it is always lowercase. So it's always postfixed with @Atlassian.net. So I agree and start over. And it's now spinning up a new organization. Now, it is now the Atlassian robots are working, as we call this. It's creating a bunch of things in the background, which you will see in a moment when we look at this organization. And most importantly, the focus of this video is it's actually going to create default product access groups, which you will see in a moment. Now going back into the dialog here, the robot's finished working and it has spun up my organization, and I'm just telling that I'm just creating a sample project. I say that I'm very familiar with Atlassian, and it created the project. Now what we want to focus on here is we want to move to Atlassian administration. So from the cog top right, I go to Atlassian admin, and I go to billing. Now, a lot of what you see here is really covered in the org admin video. Please check out that video on our channel. But now we are going to focus on the concept of groups. So let's look at products first. Now, it did create that organization was the first product added automatically, and that is Jira. So Jira was added as a product. And now, because Jira always requires Jira administration, Jira administration was actually added as a second product automatically. Now let's look at the directory, and then let's look at groups. Now what you see here is, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit, it has now actually created default product access groups out of the box, and they're automatically named. So I called the organization Acme Valiantes, and it created 1, 2, 3, 4 groups by default. It created a Jira admin dash org name group. So it always includes the org name in the group name. It did this for Jira admin, for Jira user access admin, Jira users, and also for org admins. Now, a few important things to note here is as follows. Let's start with the org admin group. I'm clicking at the org admin group, and in the org admin group, it added me, the creator of the organization, automatically as the org admin. So the person that creates the org by default is automatically added to the org admin group and is therefore the org admin of that organization. So if we go back to the groups further, let's look at the Jira admin group. Now, the Jira admin group obviously gives access to the Jira administration product. I am not listed specifically as a member of the Jira admin group, but inherently an org admin is always also the product admin of all products installed on that organization. Now let's look at the Jira user or Jira user access admin. So there's the concept of a user access admin group, which is automatically created on that organization. And again, there are no group members listed here. Myself as the org admin, having created the group, would automatically be assumed to be inherently in the product, to be the product user access admin as well, because as the org admin, I really have full control over everything in the instance. Now, important to note about the org admin is the org admin group cannot be renamed. The org admin group cannot be deleted. The org admin group must have at least one member. An org admin cannot remove themselves from that group. It requires another org admin to remove you. But you must always have, and I think this is pretty self-explanatory, at least one org admin in the org admin group. But the org admin group is so foundational that it's very restrictive what you can do with it. You cannot rename it. You must have a single member here, at least one member. Of course, I should mention that our recommendation is that you not have too many org admins because it's a very powerful role, but you definitely should have more than one. Please refer to the other video where we talk about the org admin extensively. Now, it is also important to note that the org admin group cannot be renamed. And what you notice here, it says org admin, it does not say site admin. Let's talk about that for a moment. In older versions of Atlassian Cloud, maybe when you look at a cloud installation that was migrated from data center, you will sometimes see the reference to site admin. And that could either be due to migration from data center, or it could be due to an older cloud version of the Atlassian cloud software. So when you see org admin and site admin, they are sometimes used synonymously. However, as you see now in August 2024, spinning up that new organization, there is no site admin group. But just in case you see it in your installation, If you see org admin and site admin is likely a carryover from a DC migration or from an older cloud version. Now, if I, for example, go into the Jira user access admin group and I click on the three buttons here, what can I do? I can delete that group because it's not the org admin group. Now, be very careful deleting groups because that has wide-ranging implications. Before you delete a group, you want to make sure that there are other groups that can take on members that were contained in the deleted group. And most importantly, you have proper groups set up for product access, which again is the concept of another video. But you can also change or edit the group name, right? So by default, the group name is always Jira user access admin and then the org name, or Jira admin org name, but you can change that. But if we're going back into, for example, the org admin group, you see that the edit group name is actually grayed out, and you can also not remove, this group cannot be removed because the org admin group is so foundational and you cannot mess around with it, if I can use that term. So what we're going to do next is we're going to, as per our slide here, we're going to add the second Jira product to that administration. I'm going to pause the video. I'm just going to add that and then show you how this is going to work. Now, in order to do that, I'm simply clicking on the product button, or I should say product tab, and I say add product. And now I'm adding Jira a second time. Again, I'm now adding Jira for the Acme EMEA subsidiary that we have. So I'm adding Jira a second time, and when I say select, it now requires me to create a new site. So I'm going to call this Acme EMEA Atlassian.net, right? Agree and add. And again, the Atlassian robots are working. It's now actually creating a second site, adding Jira to that site, because again, a particular Atlassian cloud product cannot exist more than once on a particular site. It has to be a separate site. So the product is set. And now going back into the product tab, we now see Jira and the Jira administration product on that organization twice. So let's look at what this means from a group management perspective. I'm navigating over to directory, go to groups, and now I see that it has actually created a second set of groups, the same groups, a group for Jira admin, Jira user access admin, Jira users. It has created the same group a second time, and it has post-fixed it with Acme EMEA, which is the name of the second site upon which that second Jira product is installed. Now, what you do notice though is that the org admin group was of course not added a second time. And this goes back to our concept here that we had earlier in the slide deck, where we noted that at the org level, we only have one group at the org level that handles org admins, whereas we have possibly multiple product admins at the site level. And really the structure now with those groups is exactly reflecting that reality. So we're going to quickly add Jira Service Management and Confluence. After I do that, I come back to the video and then we talk about what this does to the groups. So having added those products as per the slide deck, again, in summary, what we wanted to demonstrate here is that under the umbrella of one organization, we are adding two Jiras. They reside on different instances or sites under that umbrella of the organization. we are adding 2 JSM instances. They sit on different sites, and we do the same thing for Confluence. So having just created that, let's see how this looks like. So going back to Atlassian administration, now under the products tab, I now see all those products listed. I see 2 instances of Confluence. I see 2 instances of Jira, and I see 2 instances of Jira Service Management. And what I did here is I created those products under the umbrella of the same org as the org administrator of that umbrella org, but they do reside on different sites. And you see this by the URL, because product URLs in Atlassian Cloud are always unique, have to be unique. That is a key element in Atlassian Cloud. So you therefore have the, for example, Confluence at Acme Valiantis or Confluence at Acme IMEA, or you have Jira on Acme Valiantis or Acme IMEA, and you have JSM, Jira Service Management, also on different URLs. Now let's go back and look at groups. Now it gets pretty interesting because directory groups, you will now see that it has now added all those groups. So essentially, not to repeat what we already covered earlier, it's now adding exactly the same default product access groups, that's the correct Atlassian term, but separately for each of the sites that sit under that organization. And you will see exactly the same groups, but they always have the extension of the site name, the name of the site that I selected to host that particular product. So you now really see an example of a global organization that has multiple instances of Jira, multiple instances for Confluence and JSM, but it now creates the product groups in multiplication. Now, what you can now certainly do is, because in global installations it can get a little bit unruly, you can now really streamline how you use those groups. So you can, again, rename groups. That's just the default group name, but they can be renamed except the org admin group, which is at the very end. You can delete groups, but you have to make sure that when you delete a group, you use another product access group to grant access to the respective products in your sites and in your organization. So from a governance best practice perspective, it is certainly recommended that you clean up groups, you remove, you delete redundant groups, you always stay on top of group membership, and you can certainly rename product groups. What we see here is just the default naming that is spun up when you created the organization and we added products to the organization. So I'm going to at randomly close this video by clicking into one group and talking a little bit more what you can do, or what you should do rather as an org admin in that particular group. And I'm going to look at the Jira admin group and the Jira user group. So let's look at the Jira admin group for Acme EMEA. So this is the group that was automatically created to manage Jira product admins in the Acme EMEA site that sits on that organization. So in that particular group, yes, that group can be renamed because it is not the org admin group. The group can be also deleted, but only if you have another group that was already created to handle product access in that particular product. So I cannot delete it now because I have not yet created another group. That's why delete group is grayed out, because a default group that was spun up when the org was created cannot be deleted. Now you can, or you must in this group determine how that particular group is used to grant product access. So in another video in this series, please refer to that. It was the second video in that video series. We spoke specifically about product roles that you can grant to particular groups. So in the Jira admin uh, group, of course, the product role is only product admin, right? But if I'm going into the, for example, Jira user group, so let's go to the Jira user group in any of the sites that I created. Uh, go to the next tab here, so Jira users. Now here, the product role in the Jira user site name group can be either a user or it can be a user access admin product role. So that is the concept of product roles that are defined for each group. You can get very granular as to what that uh, group actually does as it has access to a particular product. Now, this really wraps up what I wanted to cover in this topic. So the key takeaways here are as follows. Managing groups is a very core, foundational, and very centric concept in the Atlassian cloud platform. It is very important that you limit the number of users, so the number of administrators, I should say, who really tightly control those groups, because if you change settings for groups, it will have very wide-ranging implications throughout the Atlassian ecosystem. Groups are not only used for product access, but they're also used to be mapped in permission schemes in both JSM and Jira projects. They're used to map permissions in Confluence spaces, and in Jira and in Confluence and in JSM, groups are also used to define global permissions, global settings. But maybe most importantly, groups are used to grant or not grant users who are members of that group access to particular products that you're licensed for. As you saw in this video, it is absolutely possible that under the umbrella of an organization, you have multiple sites, to use the exact correct term that Atlassian uses. Um, you have the ability to have multiple sites, because very often, as demonstrated within this video, you will have maybe subsidiaries and you have multiple instances of the same product, and they can in Atlassian Cloud not sit on the same site. So you have to have different sites, and that is true for all products. With that, I want to sincerely thank you for having joined me today. I hope you found this video of value. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or my colleagues. My name again is Dietmar Dörschlag. Email dietmar.dörschlag@valiantis.com. I want to close with the note that we always post new content on our YouTube channel. Please check in regularly. You will find lots of relevant content related to anything in the Atlassian ecosystem. Thank you very much. Have a great day.